Hey, and welcome to this week's Inbound Debate. This week, as always, I'm joined by checkered shirt Nick Pateman and stripy Dan Holt. And this week, we're talking about responsive web design. Now, what is responsive web design? Essentially, it's when you design a website with the code that will optimize the website to fit to all screens. All right, guys? Would you say that's
I would say it's an accurate description, yeah.
Okay, well, guys, could you sum up your thoughts on responsive web design in 30 seconds? Nick, I'm going to start off with you. You've got 30 seconds, start from now.
30 seconds, right, on the clock. Okay, I think responsive web design is definitely overrated at the moment. You find a lot of WordPress themes and everything else that kind of give you a really simple solution to mobile websites, in that you visit the website on mobile and the screen would have shrunk down. You might see like the navigation changing where you have to press the navigation to drop it down and then it all comes out. It all looks very different to the actual desktop site. They tend to be really, really glitchy and they don't work particularly well. Often mobile engagement's actually a lot less on responsive designs if they're not done properly, and they're very expensive to do properly. So my opinion is don't bother with it unless you've got a big budget.
Dan.
I'm going to take a step back first of all and just actually
30 seconds.
between, because we've not only got responsive design and standard desktop design, but then of course adaptive design, which is different, where you've got a number of designs specifically for a range of different screen sizes, whereas as you say, responsive is more fluid. It just adjusts as you're changing the screen size. And then of course mobile specific websites. I think all of them have their pros and cons. I think to dismiss responsive design on the basis that sometimes it's not done very well, I think is very
As I say, it's done well, but it's expensive to do well.
I think that really good responsive web design is worth it. Like, as in, I agree with you that it's glitchy, but I think when it's done right, it's very well worth it. And you see that a lot of big brands are starting to move over to it. They're spending a lot of money on it.
If you look at the Mashable website, for example, that's really, really cool. It's done well.
Yeah.
Obviously, if anything's done badly, it's not worth
But it's for people who want to read content where it's easier just to get a larger font size, an easier navigation. It's just like straightforward. Whereas if you're trying to sell a service, or if you're trying to do shopping and everything's just shrunk down into like a tiny screen, which it's debatable on whether that will help. And a lot of people think it's the new craze. A lot of design companies are selling responsive design as a big upsell, and people are spending a lot of money on design.
Which because Google recommends it.
It does.
They came out and they said this is the way that
it
you should
doesn't
do
recommend
mobile.
crap though. Like just because it recommends responsive design doesn't mean if you suddenly make things all go tiny and rubbish that Google will rank you higher. It's not that simple.
No, but I think when Google comes out and says, look, out of your range of options, this is specifically what we recommend, I think you take that on board.
Okay, well guys, this kind of moves on to the next question. Does responsive design help or hinder the user experience? Dan, I'm going to start off with you here.
Well, I think we pretty much said it all. I think if it's done well, it absolutely does. I was on Mashable earlier on today on my phone, and that responsive design absolutely helped my user experience. I know of a couple of sites, one in particular I'm thinking of, that has a responsive design that is a complete monstrosity.
Are you going to tell us what it is?
No, I'm not going to say
Okay. Well, I think it has to be done incredibly well. The company that does it has to know exactly what they're doing. Mashable would have spent many thousands of pounds. If you try and get a $40 WordPress thing that just goes responsive, you're going to find you're going to need to tweak it.
And I think that just one final point, sorry, I think that is important. The design agency understands what's important about the mobile experience, understands that people are in action mode, that they're looking for kind of one or two taps and they get to where they want to go, whether that's making contact, seeing a map, whatever it may be.
And I would play it safe, and I would just have the normal site display for.
I'm actually going to say, I'm going to kind of disagree with what Nick said earlier. I actually think that responsive design, when done right, really enhances e-commerce. I think it really does. If you can showcase the product and some nice bullet points about the product, and then you can scroll down and see more about it. It's hard going on to a product page where you have to scroll in on every little different thing.
If you're going through a lot of products, I think you're gonna have trouble. If you have one product, then you might get.
But if you're going through different products, that template might be different to how you'd have your normal product page. So I kind of feel like. I think I agree with both of you, and I think we're not going to disagree on this. If it's done right, it does help the UX, but it's really hard to do it right because each one has to be custom. You're right, you can't just put it into a box and make every WordPress template do the same thing. Well, thank you very much, guys, for joining me, and thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed it this week. As always, please comment, please tweet at us, let us know what you think about responsive web design, and we'll see you next week. Bye.